Hello and welcome inside Desert Financial Arena for another edition of the Devil Source Postgame Show. I'm Jacob Brooks. Alongside me is our publisher Chris Cartman following ASU men's basketball's 82-68 victory over the University of Cincinnati Bearcats. And Chris, this is a much needed bounce back for ASU after the doom and gloom vibes from Wednesday night's loss against West Virginia, and the catalyst of this win was Mo Odum. His second highest scoring total of the season, 33 points, 8 assists. What did you make of his performance tonight?
Maui Mo back in effect. We had talked about him on the podcast, and ASU had lost 7 out of 8 games since the end of December until now. It's a one Big 12 win before this game, and it was a bleak stretch. Bobby Hurley talked about that after Wednesday's loss at home. They needed it. Mo Odum came up really big. There was one point Cincinnati had cut its deficit to 3 points on a couple of fast break opportunities, and then Odum hit back-to-back threes, stretched it to 9, and then from there, ASU kind of coasted the rest of the way. But I thought his court game was really good overall. He had 8 assists, as you said, on top of the 33 points. So, when Mo Odum plays really well, the team usually does really well. Those things go hand in hand. They needed that from him, and he delivered.
Yeah, Chris, Mo talked about that in the post-game presser. He said he feels like it rests on his shoulders. He said he can't have a night like tonight and then go 2 for 10 in the next game because he feels like he's setting his team up to lose. But moving forward, not only was the outcome of this game a talking point of tonight, but most of the talking points surrounding tonight were everything Bobby Hurley had to say on Wednesday night. He was talking about how it was hard to see a light in the tunnel, and he feels like his team doesn't listen to him, and ASU hasn't had a good home court advantage since before COVID. He had a lot of different things to say. The team responded. You asked Mo Odum and Pig Johnson if they saw those comments. They said they did. They said that the team had a meeting about it, addressed it, and they said that they actually agreed with Hurley and that they weren't doing a good job listening. What did you make of how they responded?
Yeah, it was kind of funny. Santiago Truitt in the tunnel after the game, he said, "Light at the end of the tunnel." And
Mukeba started dying laughing.
Yeah, that was after Mukeba had said something about it being 2 months, because this was a bad stretch that these guys went on after a very good non-conference until the Oregon State loss here, which kind of set a lot of this negative stuff in motion. Hurley admitted after the game tonight that he was trying to reach his team in a different way because the direct interaction with them hadn't yielded the type of results that he wanted. Mentioning the end of the half, Noah Mausen not taking a foul on a three-pointer. And look, the players, I think that they do care and they are trying. It's just that they didn't necessarily, appreciate how dialed in that you have to be on every single possession, I think, in the Big 12. That's the main takeaway. Hurley said they had a very good practice yesterday. That carried forward into certainly their best Big 12 game of the season today.
Yeah, Chris, to echo Hurley's post-game comments, the funniest moment to me was when he said, "I'm not a full idiot." He said, "I'm not a full idiot, only a partial idiot," saying that he was intentionally trying to address his team, and that didn't work only on Mo Odum and Pig Johnson. It worked on a lot of other role players as well. There were crucial threes from Gerbevich. Santiago Truitt was crashing on the offensive boards. Noah Mausen, it may not show up in the stat sheet, but he was pivotal for ASU tonight. Masamba Diop had 4 blocks. Mo Odum said he was pushing him to be more aggressive in the second half, and he was. What did you make of the supporting cast's efforts tonight?
Yeah, well, ASU forced 15 turnovers. They played better on a per-possession basis defensively. Most of those turnovers were by the middle of the second half, and they had a big advantage in fast break points. When you play defense consistently, including in transition and including on your defensive glass when you're ASU, those are the vulnerable areas. That's when they can get to their goal. Hurley said that they wanted to hold Cincinnati under 70 points. This is not a very good Big 12 team, one of the bottom 4 or 5 Big 12 teams along with ASU, and particularly not good on offense. And so ASU needed to come out and have that type of performance defensively, and then that carried over to where they just had better rhythm, better offense. They made shots. Mausen's had a nice corner 3 that was right here. Gerbevich hit a couple of threes, as you said there. So these guys, they are the supporting cast, and they're in most nights not going to have the big accolades like a Jop or Mo Odum, but I think that there was no glaringly bad performances by any of these players tonight. Bryce Ford getting back into it after missing some action with an injury. I think he was 2 of 5 from 3. So now they're into an 8-man rotation, and they seem to be in a decent place if they keep listening to what Bobby Hurley has to say to them during the timeouts.
And Chris, to circle back to those viral comments from Hurley on Wednesday, one thing that he said was that it's hard to see a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
I asked him in his press conference today if after this win he can start to see one, and he relented a little bit. He was like, well, it's only one win. It's hard to say right now, but if ASU plays on offense the way it did today, he thinks that ASU can be competitive the rest of the way in Big 12 play. Do you agree with that? Do you feel like this win is maybe the start of something for this team, or is it a little bit of a nothing burger and people should slow down?
There's a saying called the dead cat bounce, which I don't know if a lot of people have heard of this.
I haven't heard of that before.
It's like a business term for like a company that's basically going bankrupt, but before they do, there might be a little bit of a stock market bump or something like that. And look, the reality is that a 500 or worse than 500 team, which ASU will probably end up being roughly in that area by the end of the season, that's not going to be enough to salvage Bobby Hurley's tenure at ASU in the final year of his contract. And look, the reality is that I think he understands the situation, which prompted some of the frustration that he expressed on Wednesday. It is good, of course, that the team played much better, and they're trying to put their best foot forward, and these guys are making money playing, and everybody is here trying to watch a product, so you don't want to quit or give up or give less than your best effort. I just don't think that ultimately it's probably going to result in them overcoming this situation in a way that's going to allow Hurley to keep his job. And look, he even sort of alluded to this by saying today that sometimes in such a good conference, you may play well and still lose. Yeah. And I think the thing that's frustrating isn't necessarily the losing, it is the not doing things well enough that you absolutely have control of, such as listening in the huddle and executing the play or the concept or doing what's asked of you. And they did better at that tonight, and now they have to continue to do that the rest of the season, regardless of whatever happens with Hurley's status.
That'll just about do it for this edition of the Sun Devil Source Postgame Show. To keep up with all of our remaining postgame coverage from ASU's win over Cincinnati, make sure to stay up to date on our Sun Devil Source socials and sundevilsource.com. Chris, ASU's next home game is a big one against #1 Arizona. We will be in the house at DFA for that game as well, so stay tuned for that. And we hope you all have a great rest of your night.